So, Mark, there are some houses that you should never buy. Today, you're talking to, or you're listening to Mark and Diane from Real Estate News and Views. And there's definitely some houses that you go look and it looks like a good idea.
Yeah, there's lots that appear that way, right? And we're going to go through a few examples that we've come up with that will definitely help out the buyers today and what to look for and what to avoid. And there's many, right? We've seen some in neighborhoods where, great, we walk in the backyard, it's a field. And there's lots of, years ago, there was lots of homes like that over in Innishow area. And what's going on now? We see big growth over there. They got row of houses, rows, rows. So stick around because we're going to go through a few examples.
Yeah.
And remember, if you like this content, hit the link, subscribe, and if you want home evaluation, definitely fill out the sheet. But it takes some time to do a proper home evaluation, so we need information. So when you click that link, we are going to call and follow up because we need information
Yes.
and buyer's links. So take it away.
So one of the very first things is houses that need like extensive repairs. You go in and you think, oh, well, I can do this and I can do this and I can do that. Well, there's always hidden things, right? That you you start like it's like peeling back an onion. You know what I mean? It looks, oh, I just need to do flooring and paint. Like lipstick, I call that lipstick.
Yeah,
And for me, lipstick, flooring, paint, that's okay.
yeah.
But when you get into major renovations, like full kitchens, full bathrooms, like you need to know what you're doing.
I have a good idea if you've done it before because those costs can get out of hand very, very quickly.
Roofs,
Yeah.
when you go into some of the houses and you walk up and you know right away, like all the eavesdrops are falling off, the roof is bad. I had one where all the bricks shifted that I bought with a client in Aurelia.
Mhm.
Like the bricks were actually falling off the house.
Wow. I hope you didn't buy that house.
He did.
Oof.
But what we ended up doing is we had to get a whole bunch of people to come
Yeah.
before he firmed it
Yeah.
and say, and, give quotes and how do you fix this and what do you do? Like, you have to really be careful of getting into something that you don't know anything about.
Yeah. And a lot of sellers don't want to give that enough time to do all that because 5 days is enough time, right? You have to arrange these specialists in a sense to come to the property, and often they're busy. So the appointment could be, 10 days later. Seller's not going to do that. So don't take the guessing game out of this. If you don't got people lined up, beforehand when you're buying it, or bring them with you, like do a pre-inspection. If the house is that dismal, why not tell the selling agent, listen, you know what? I'm going to bring some qualified people because we noticed some structural issues here when we drove by, whatever it could be, right?
Yeah.
Be upfront. So it should be no surprise. The seller knows what's going on with us if they're selling a house like that today. So they should appropriately give that time to the buyer to do that. But you know what? It's a lot easier by just saying, you know what? Why do I want to get into this? Right?
This is
It's
the
too much
thing.
work. It's
If
too much runaway
Now,
money.
and my client's father is like a contractor guy.
Right.
So it's a little bit different when you have people or professionals that are family members or you are one.
Right. Right.
Like I've had contractors buy these kind of homes,
Yeah. Sure.
and even they get into trouble because sometimes it's far more extensive than you think.
100%. 100%. Way
So
cost
if you're,
quickly.
yes, and you're just your average buyer, like just stay away from that.
And to that point too, is sometimes the seller, just thinks it's lipstick.
That's what I'm saying.
But other after you do a home inspection, if you know what I mean, it does happen a lot. There's a lot more problems going on that property. And you know, let's face it, we see a lot of those listings, but we don't see the price point jumping off the wall or screaming great value here. So they could be into that house for a lot more than they really anticipated.
That's the problem. Exactly. They could end up over like basically in the red. The home is actually, you've actually, between paying for it and fixing it, it's over the value of the neighborhood now.
Could be. Could be.
So
Could be.
another big thing is homes that are in high risk areas. Now, what I mean by that is the houses, okay, I don't really want to say it, but I'll say it.
You know.
Down in in Lefroy,
Right.
where every spring half of them are flooded,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's lots of areas that have physical issues that you don't know about when you go look in July because everything's dry.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't even, I don't think in my time, except right in Lefroy, like on the main road, just off the main road, which is a high and dry area. I don't think I've actually purchased with one client in that area because I won't bring them there.
No, no, because high water table, right? There's issues, you know it. And that's the importance of, you know, with local agents, they know those areas. They know stuff like that. Another town agent is not going to know unless they've done some business in the past, right?
Yep.
Or, where could a buyer get that information, right? Where could they get that on their own if they wanted to?
Well, those kind of things, I don't think you get it anywhere.
No, is there any maps in Innisfil in a sense where they high water tables like
No,
yeah,
no. My nephew used to live on Kennedy. And actually, you remember when
a
your
climb.
client bought off us?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
what my nephew did before he even sold it, like while he was living there, he actually put a drainage system in the backyard
right,
and black pipe under the ground to bring it out to the ditch.
right.
Because
Yeah,
yeah, so your client would have been fine.
yeah,
But when he first bought it, they were underwater all the time.
yeah, 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 no kidding.
And there's a lot of different areas around Barrie that have like even depending on okay, look at the one I nearly purchased with Rob on Blake.
Mhm.
And now that car dealership is the new homeless shelter thing.
Yeah, that can impact values, right? All these community things that we should be looking for, and we went through a video last week that I think our viewers should check out about how zoning plans impact that. Right? Where you think, great, nice quiet street, and all of a sudden a guy on the street owns 4 or 5 acres and he's got a plan of subdivision going on in there for 10 townhomes as an example.
Yeah.
Cow, right? So I think people really need to be careful. I mean, it's just not about getting the deal done or signing the paper. It's about knowing the facts of the community, what is going on in the community. And there's lots that the buyers can do today to find that information out for themselves if they want to, and not just rely on an agent. There's lots of ways.
Yeah. And
You,
that's another thing that people have to be wary of is zoning and legal issues. And what comes to mind is those people that put on decks attached to their houses or build things or do illegal basement apartments, and now you're stuck with the problem.
it happens. Yeah.
Like one of our clients from YouTube that called, you know them too. Um, they actually put an offer in on a house and then asked about I think it was an addition or a shed or a deck or something off the back.
Mhm.
And when they looked into it, no permit was ever taken.
Yeah.
And then I've had other ones where the permit's still open. So my other nephew sold on the ninth line, and he originally, got building permits, and he sold like 9 years later, never closed them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they were all open.
Yeah.
Cost him
And
$50,000
yeah, it's crazy.
because now you can't close a deal like that.
No, no, no.
Now a floating deck is okay.
Right. But I think a buyer should be, if they see something new on a deck, put it in the offer about, hey, have these permits, has there been permits taken out on this? Has a final inspection happened on this stuff? Right?
Exactly.
And those type of renovations stand out. You know, when you, holy cow, nice new deck. How old is it? Right?
Yeah.
So things.
Or how
Okay.
about the people that turn their back decks into rooms?
Well, yeah, that can happen too. I mean, I think it's
I showed one just on Taylor like that.
really, eh?
Yeah, the back room they made like family room back there, but it used to be like a deck area. It
Right.
wasn't part of the plan.
Right. Yeah.
And they insulated it and heated it and everything, but I mean, I'm sure there was no permit. We never put an offer, so I didn't ask.
Yeah. Yeah, it can happen. Okay, what's some other ones?
Um, Properties and areas that are trending downward.
Okay, so give us an example.
Well, I personally would say around the waterfront in Allendale area.
Not so much Allendale, so much. I mean, I mean,
Well, South Allendale's by the GO station.
yeah, there's not, yeah, something. I find some of those areas, getting better and are going to get better. You see some, some new build going on with those townhouses, but anything in the downtown corridor and stuff like that, I think people should really dot the I's and cross their T's and go to, example, the local Barrie crime map on the Barrie Police Services. Understand the crime in that area, right? Because they're there.
Well, I even think in the North End,
What North End for
Pickling
what?
Trail, that area over there.
A lot of student rentals, right? It's not a family area, so know your areas in the community is pretty important,
When it
right?
was first built, though, and everything was brand new and looking pretty, it wasn't terrible.
No, but growth is, built up so much around that college in hospital area, and it's a haven for real estate investors to purchase up there, take advantage of the student housing, which is lacking. So,
And
you
they
know,
don't cut the lawns and they don't,
right. So, those pick your area properly. I think that's definitely key to do that.
yeah. So another thing is, and you and I have both seen this all the time, the uh the DIY, the guy that did all the renovations himself.
Yeah,
And
they
you go
stand
into
up there.
how many times have you gone into a house
Yeah.
and you see like they put in flooring or trim work or and it's like crooked and it's you know what I mean? It's all messed up and you know like okay, this guy did it himself on the weekend and doesn't know what he's doing.
Right. Right. Yeah, those imperfections definitely stand out real quick.
Well,
Right.
the problem is, Mark, you also have to be like, what else did he do?
Oh yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab something for Gracie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I've seen lots of places like that in my time in the business, and we've seen, things not lining up, flooring, baseboards, measurements are wrong. Like it's very evident. Poor workmanship. Those are red flags. And you know, then you go
I've
to the
seen
next
it with
and you
plumbing and electrical and everything.
100%, right? So really, they may look great in the pictures, but and there's some homes that you go to, you go, well, they look good in the pictures, but let's see what it looks like when we get in the front door. And then sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad.
Yeah.
Right. So just
My
be careful.
my client had one that I guess the guy had done the shower himself
Mhm.
and it was this big walk-in shower. It was beautiful, but it never drained properly. And all
Mm,
the water would just sit there.
yeah, it's not.
And when we bought it, it was brand new, never been used. So
Yeah,
of course it looked beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
So
No,
that's the other thing you don't know about. Another big thing is location and noise, Mark.
you want to know that. I mean, there's some main arteries in a lot of subdivisions that are very busy. And, this time of year, people like to sit on their back decks and enjoy their backyards. And a lot of times, you don't hear that traffic noise all the time, especially in the wintertime, a little bit quieter. But come summertime, whoa, you hear it. You open up that back door and you go, holy cow. So be observant of that. And we've seen those type of properties usually take time to sell because of that,
Yeah,
right?
some of them, yeah, and some of them like they're on a major road. It reminds me of Jane Crescent and stuff over by over by the Mandarin.
Mhm.
You sit in the backyard, you
Oh,
hear the 400 like 24/7.
yeah, spots of Allendale too. You'll hear that traffic, right?
Loud.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah.
if you go there, even around here in my area, there's
Mhm.
houses that back onto Mapleview. If you come on a Saturday or a Sunday or certain times of the day, it's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
come at in the morning or come at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And on the weekends, it's constant.
It's busy. And that Maple View, there's so much building going on and already been completed. And it can, more you go west on Maple View, there's more and more and more building going on, right? There's a lot of stuff going on there. That's a traffic disaster, right? It is
Yes,
very, very busy as there's so many subdivisions leading off to that main artery. So, I mean, there were some nice areas in there, but it's gotten a whole lot busier than it has in the past.
it is. And the
Right?
other thing is the big hills in the backyard and the front yards.
Some, yeah,
Not around here, but I've had listings with those issues
yeah,
where the backyard's either a giant hill or the front yard. One I had on Mayfair Drive. I don't know if you remember it. God, she had like five different agents trying to sell it over the time period.
tough.
24 steps to get to the front door.
Yeah, it's tough. Don't buy that. Don't even think of buying that because
There you
it's so
go.
hard to sell. And back to a point that you mentioned too. You know what I'd recommend sellers to do today? Some of them, if they're listing their home, they may have been there for 10 or 15 years. Get a home inspection done before you list.
Yeah.
No problems. And most of them are small potatoes, right? But then you could really sell it with a lot of confidence and not worrying about renegotiating a deal because there's 20, 30 little things to fix. No one wants to go back. We've been in that situation. We don't want to go back and go, oh God, we got to renegotiate this. You're on pins and needles about making the call. What will the seller do? Will they say no? It's not a fun experience, is where I'm going with it.
No, and I remember when Dennis and I sold the house in Stroud.
Right?
Before I listed it, I said, go up in the attic and see if there's any mold. I
No,
mean, how often do you check your attic? We lived there 17 years. We never, I don't think he went up there once.
no, no, no.
And it was fine,
Yeah.
but how many do you go up and
Mhm.
there's black mold on the sheeting or there's this like
Especially in older homes, you see that, and it's a ventilation issue, right? It just doesn't breathe good. Some soffits, revent it. But in older homes, yeah, we see a lot of that,
and
right?
it's not the end of the world.
No, it's
You
not.
can get it fixed and you can get a like my mold. I use this mold guy, he's really good.
Yeah,
But you should be aware of those things before you sell them. And if you have the giant backyard hill, or you had that one on Leslie with the backyard issue too.
it took a long time to sell. I think the same house sold a month ago. He had it forever. I think he got 909. We got 935 back in 23. He got 909. He's listed for 4 or 5 months. Called me about it. How long did it take? It was a tough one because you walk out from the living room and there's a deck, then you have a flight of stairs from a new elevation overlooking it. No one wants that. Who in the heck would buy that?
Well, that's why like
No
this
changing that
video
backyard.
exactly, and this video is to warn people like when you see those kind of red flags, like eventually you're going to have to sell.
Absolutely.
So you
It's
don't buy
gonna,
that.
you don't buy that. Avoid that. Because it's going to take you. And yes, someone got a big home for 900 grand. Great. It took them multiple price changes to get it to the right price before someone would jump on it, right? No one's jumping on that because they know how lengthy it is to sell that down the road. No, thank you. It's like, geez, what was the builder thinking there? And it just due to the elevation, you had no choice, right?
Yeah. Well, and there's lots of them in Barrie too,
There
up
is.
near Wildwood and stuff,
Yeah, there is.
where there's a lot of weird elevations and like the backyards are cut up or two or three different levels or just giant hills.
100%.
Like
100%.
You got to be careful of those things too.
And we always say too, pick your neighborhood properly, right? Do some research in your neighborhood. Know what's going on in that little community. Research the schools.
Yep.
Find out what the ratings are. Find out what the crime is going on in that community, in that little pocket, right? Go
Hmm.
look, on Facebook. Go on Barrie Concerned Citizens. Hit the follow button. Start following. That's a great tool for people to use. Everyone's posting on it. I probably see 5 or 6 posts a day. Oh,
Yep.
lock your cars in this area because here's some bandits out. And they got them all on their camera and they're filming them,
Yep.
right? Creates awareness and what's going on in that pocket. So I think that's all good information for people buying today. I mean, we most people just look at a home and they go, okay, great, I like it, and go, but they know nothing else about the area.
Yeah, I
And
know.
and our community is driven by out of town buyers, right?
Yes.
They're judging our area, wow, look at this. Wow, back home, our area never looked like this and didn't have this. Look how beautiful. They get caught up in it, but they could have some of the same goddamn issues there too.
Yeah, I know.
About really doing it. Like we've seen a lot of jump in crime in the community over the last 10 years. It's becoming a busy city now. So some of crap is going to work its way to the suburbs, and that's what we are to Toronto now.
Yeah.
So I just think, dot your I's, cross your T's, get as much information because, we've seen too many buyers in the day make bad decisions because they didn't do this.
Yeah. Well, and another thing, Mark, if you go to a house and you see a problem, meaning it's right in front of your face already, like the 20 steps to get inside, or the crappy backyard, or it backs onto a busy street.
Yeah.
Like you can't really blame somebody for that. You saw it. You went there, you saw it, and there was something about the house that you loved, so you didn't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that happens all the time. You
It
get
it, it happens all the time.
maybe the nice pool in the backyard or the nice kitchen took your eyes off the whole other detriments of the property, right? That
Exactly.
I need to have this. It's so perfect. But we've seen stuff like that, and we've seen buyers make mistakes like that. And I've had them too, like making a mistake here. If you want it, it's no problem. But I have to tell you, the resale is going to be impacted, and this is going to take some time to sell down the road, and it always does,
Yeah,
right?
I've had same conversations where I'm like, this is bad and this is bad and you better be careful. Well, we love this though and we love okay, but I just wanted to point it out because
Oh, you want to. Another thing I think people should look at, buyers should look at too, is when they're looking at homes, look at the parking on the street.
yes.
You see a home, a driveway with 4 cars, and you see cars along there. 9 times out of 10, there's some basement apartments down there,
Yeah.
right? There's some rentals. So you got to be observant of that. Or if the backyard, if the front yard has cars parking on it, or it's not been properly maintained, 9 times out of 10, this is rental property.
Well, and look at I bought mine in February, right?
Mhm.
So I had no knowledge of anything. Well, my neighbors, my one side has still not cut the grass. Every single time my sister comes here, she says, I guess your neighbor doesn't own a lawnmower, Diane. I said, well, there's 4 or 5 people living in there. It's obviously tenanted and no one's cutting the lawn.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Now, one side is great. The other side, gong show. The
I,
backyard's probably 2 feet high right now.
I know, I know. And that's the worst thing when you go to neighborhoods. You don't, the neighbor, even 5, 6 years ago, we didn't see that. We sure see it now in all areas,
In all areas.
not just the
No,
rental areas.
no, even when I lived on Ruffett Market,
Hey,
it was the same.
yeah,
There was 3 or 4 houses on the street.
that just didn't care.
Yeah, didn't maintain anything.
Yeah, roofs aren't done, driveway's a mess, yard's a mess.
Look at the guy. Look at the roof on the guy at Ruffett. It was
Yeah,
peeling off. I had shingles all over, and I had a giant. There was a giant hole in his roof because the
yeah,
squirrels and all the animals were living in
yeah,
there.
100%. Okay, I think we've covered off some good points for buyers to pay attention and to avoid some properties that don't make sense.
Yes, I agree. Perfect.
Okay, remember, subscribe, get information or want to talk, talk away and give us a call.
Perfect.
Okay, see ya.
See ya.